Ukraine, a land of golden fields, sapphire skies, and a spirit that the world has come to admire. Today, we're looking at a country that is much more than just a place on a map. This is a story of resilience, deep history, and a beauty that continues to shine through every challenge. For many years, this nation has been the heart of Eastern Europe. It is the largest country entirely within the European continent, spanning over 600,000 square kilometers. From the majestic peaks of the Carpathian Mountains in the west to the resilient shores of the Black Sea in the south, the landscapes here are as diverse as the people who call them home. In this video, we are exploring the new Ukraine. We will discover ancient cities where cobblestone streets tell tales of kings and warriors from over 1,000 years ago. We will see modern urban hubs that are leading the way in technology and art, even in the most difficult times. Despite the shadows of the past few years, the warmth of Ukrainian hospitality remains unchanged. Whether it is the aroma of fresh borscht in a local kitchen or the vibrant colors of traditional embroidery, the culture here is a living, breathing masterpiece. Perched on the high hills overlooking the Dnieper River, this is the Kiev-Pechersk Lavra, one of the most sacred spaces in the Eastern Orthodox world. Its name comes from the Ukrainian word for cave, and it has stood as a beacon of faith for nearly 1,000 years. Founded in the year 1051 by the monks Anthony and Theodosius, it began as a simple series of underground caves. Over the centuries, it grew into a massive complex of golden-domed churches and cathedrals. Today, it is recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site and remains the spiritual heart of the nation. The complex is divided into two main areas. The Upper Lavra is home to the stunning Dormition Cathedral and the Great Bell Tower. This tower reaches a height of 96.5 meters. If you climb to the top, you are rewarded with a breathtaking view of the city and the winding river below. The architecture here is a masterpiece of the Ukrainian Baroque style, characterized by brilliant white walls and shimmering gold. The Lower Lavra is where you will find the entrance to the famous caves. As you step into these narrow underground passages, the world above fades away. The air is cool and still. Along the walls, you can see the glass-covered resting places of over 100 saints. Often called simply the Maidan, this is Independence Square, the vibrant and beating heart of the capital city. For decades, this open space has served as the stage for the most important moments in the history of the nation. It is a place where the past and the future of the country meet in a powerful display of unity and strength. The square is located on Kreshchatyk Street, the main boulevard of the city. Its current name was officially adopted in August of the year 1991, just 2 days after the country declared its independence. Before it became the Grand Plaza you see today, the area was actually a low-lying marsh known centuries ago as the Goat Swamp. The most striking feature of the square is the Independence Monument. This is a massive victory column that stands 61 meters tall. At the very top, you can see a statue of a woman named Barahinia, a traditional protector spirit in national folklore. She holds a golden branch of the Gelder rose, which is a beloved national symbol. The column itself is covered in white marble and served as a reminder of the hard-won freedom of the people. Winding down from the upper town to the historic district of Podil, this is the Andreevsky descent. Often called the Montmartre of Kiev, this steep cobblestone street is the artistic soul of the city. It is one of the oldest and most atmospheric paths in the capital, stretching for 720 meters. At the very top of the hill stands the magnificent St. Andrew's Church. Built in the middle of the 1800s by the famous architect Bartolomeo Rastrelli, its emerald domes and gold detailing are a landmark of the city skyline. Local legend says that when the Apostle Andrew visited this spot nearly 2,000 years ago, he placed a cross here and predicted that a great city would rise on these hills. As you walk down the hill, you will pass the castle of Richard the Lionheart. Despite its medieval name, it was actually built in the early 1900s in a beautiful Gothic style. For many years, locals called it the Haunted House because of the strange moaning sounds that came from its chimneys during windy days. It was later discovered that the builders had hidden eggshells in the vents to create the spooky noises. Stretching along the hilly banks of the Dnieper River, this is Mariinsky Park. Established in the year 1874, it is one of the oldest and most elegant green spaces in the capital. It was designed in a classic English landscape style, featuring winding paths, quiet benches, and trees that are over 100 years old. The focal point of the park is the magnificent Mariinsky Palace. This turquoise and white masterpiece was designed by the famous architect Bartolomeo Rastrelli in the middle of the 18th century. Today, it serves as the official ceremonial residence of the President of Ukraine. While the palace itself is often used for high-level diplomatic meetings, its ornate facade provides a stunning backdrop for anyone walking through the gardens. Just a few steps from the palace, you will find the building of the Verkhovna Rada, which is the Parliament of Ukraine. The park acts as a peaceful bridge between the busy world of government and the natural beauty of the river hills. If you follow the main paths, you will reach an expansive observation deck. From this vantage point, you can look out over the river and see the modern neighborhoods of the left bank stretching toward the horizon. Often called the City of Lions, this is the Lviv Old Town, a place where time seems to have slowed down to preserve the beauty of centuries past. Established in the late Middle Ages, the historic center of this city is so well preserved that it was named a UNESCO World Heritage Site in the year 1998. As you walk through these narrow, winding streets, you are surrounded by a unique blend of architectural styles, from Gothic and Renaissance to Baroque and Art Nouveau. At the center of it all is Rhinox Square, which has been the heart of city life for over 600 years. The square is surrounded by 44 unique townhouses, each with its own story. Look closely at the windows of these buildings. You will notice that many have exactly 3 windows on each floor. This is because, in the past, a special tax was charged based on how many windows a house had, and only the wealthiest citizens could afford more. In each corner of the square, you will find beautiful fountains decorated with statues of Greek gods like Neptune and Diana, which have stood there since the year 1793. Rising high above the square is the Town Hall Tower. If you're feeling energetic, you can climb the 408 steps to the top. From there, you are rewarded with a stunning 360-degree view of the red-tiled roofs and church spires that stretch across the horizon. You can even hear the mechanical clock, which has been keeping time for the city since the middle of the 19th century. Rising high above the historic streets of the city, this is the Lviv High Castle. Standing at the highest point in the region at 413 meters above sea level, it offers the most spectacular view of the entire area. While the word castle might make you look for stone walls and towers, today this site is a beautiful park and a panoramic terrace that holds the memory of a fortress from centuries ago. The history of this hill begins in the 13th century, when Prince Danilo of Halych and his son, Lev, built a wooden fortification to protect their new city. By the middle of the 14th century, under the rule of King Casimir III, the wooden structures were replaced with a massive stone castle. It featured thick walls, high towers, and a deep well that supplied water to the soldiers during long sieges. Over hundreds of years, the castle faced many battles. It was attacked by various armies and was eventually largely dismantled in the 19th century. The stones from the old walls were used to build new roads and buildings in the city below. In the year 1869, to celebrate the 300th anniversary of the Union of Lublin, a memorial mound was created at the very top of the hill, using earth and some of the remaining stone foundations. Tucked away in one of the quietest and most atmospheric corners of the old town, you will find the Armenian Cathedral of the Assumption of Mary. This is one of the oldest and most mysterious religious landmarks in the city, with a history that begins in the year 1363. It serves as a reminder of the ancient Armenian community that has played a vital role in the culture and trade of this region for over 7 centuries. The architecture of the cathedral is a fascinating mix of styles. The original structure was built by an architect named Doring, who blended the traditions of Armenian church building with local European influences. As you enter the quiet courtyard, you will see ancient tombstones set into the pavement, some dating back hundreds of years. The stone walls feel heavy with history, creating a peaceful atmosphere that is far removed from the busy streets outside. However, the true treasure of the cathedral lies inside. The interior is decorated with a series of stunning and unusual frescoes painted in the early 20th century by the artist Jan Henrik Rosen. These paintings are unlike anything else in the city. One of the most famous scenes is the burial of Saint Odilo, which features ghostly, hooded figures carrying a coffin in a dark, mystical forest. The use of light and shadow in these murals creates an emotional and almost cinematic experience for anyone who steps inside. In the city of Odessa, often called the Pearl of the Black Sea, stands a building so beautiful it is considered one of the finest theaters in the world. This is the Odessa National Academic Theater of Opera and Ballet. Since it first opened its doors in the year 1887, it has been the architectural crown jewel of the southern coast. The building we see today is actually the second theater to stand on this site. The first one opened in the year 1810, but was sadly destroyed by a fire many years later. The new structure was designed by two famous Viennese architects named Ferdinand Fellner and Hermann Helmer. They used a magnificent neo-Baroque style for the exterior, decorating the facade with statues of the Muses and busts of legendary writers like Pushkin and Gogol. Inside, the theater is even more breathtaking. The auditorium is designed in the late French Rococo style, filled with velvet seats, crystal chandeliers, and shimmering gold decorations. The ceiling is a masterpiece of its own, featuring 4 large paintings that show scenes from the plays of William Shakespeare. The theater is also famous for its incredible acoustics. Because of its unique horseshoe shape, even a soft whisper from the stage can be heard clearly in the very last row of the balcony. Often called the gateway to the city, the Potemkin Stairs are one of the most famous landmarks in the world. This massive stone staircase connects the center of the city with the harbor and the Black Sea below. It is not just a path for walking, but a brilliant example of architectural illusion and a symbol of the cinematic history of the nation. The stairs were built between the years 1837 and 1841. They were designed by an architect named Francesco Boffo as a grand entrance for those arriving by ship. Originally, the staircase was made of green-gray sandstone, but over 100 years ago, it was covered in durable granite to protect it from the salt air and the thousands of people who walk it every day. There are exactly 192 steps. When you stand at the very bottom and look up, the staircase appears much longer than it actually is. This is because the steps at the bottom are much wider than the steps at the top. From the bottom, you can only see an endless flight of stairs, while the landings remain hidden. However, when you stand at the top and look down, you only see the flat landings, and the steps themselves seem to disappear. This clever design makes the climb feel less intimidating than it looks. Deep on the shores of the Dnieper estuary near the Black Sea stands one of the most imposing and well-preserved stone citadels in Eastern Europe. This is the Bilgorod-Dnistrovsky Fortress, also famously known as Ackerman. Its massive stone walls have guarded this region for over 600 years, witnessing the rise and fall of empires. The history of this site goes back even further than the fortress itself. Beneath its foundations lie the ruins of the ancient Greek city of Tyrus, which was founded over 2,500 years ago. The fortress we see today was built primarily between the 13th and 15th centuries. It was a strategic stronghold for the Principality of Moldavia, the Genoese, and later the Ottoman Empire. The scale of the structure is truly immense. The outer walls stretch for about 2.5 kilometers and are strengthened by over 30 towers. These walls are up to 5 meters thick and reach heights of 15 meters, making the fortress nearly impossible to capture in the days of ancient warfare. The entire complex is divided into 4 distinct courtyards, each designed for a specific purpose, such as housing the garrison, protecting the local citizens, or storing supplies. Rising out of a dramatic rocky canyon in western Ukraine, you will find the Kamieniec-Podilsky Castle. This is one of the most stunning and recognizable fortresses in the world. It sits on a high peninsula surrounded by the winding Smotrich River, which forms a natural moat that is 40 meters deep. For hundreds of years, this location was so well protected that it was known as the Island of Stone. While the first wooden fortifications were built here over 1,000 years ago, the stone castle we see today began to take shape in the late 14th century. Over time, it was expanded and strengthened by many different rulers, resulting in a unique mix of architectural styles. The castle features 12 massive towers, each with its own name and history. The tallest of these is the Papal Tower, which was built with funds provided by Pope Julius II in the early 16th century. One of the most interesting parts of the castle is the bridge of the fortress. This is the only way to enter the citadel by land. For centuries, it was considered one of the most strategic bridges in Europe. Legend says that when an Ottoman sultan first saw the mighty walls and the deep canyon, he asked who had built such a masterpiece. When he was told that God had created it, the Sultan replied that if God built it, then only God could take it, and he turned his army away. Standing on the high banks of the Dniester River, the Houghton Fortress is a breathtaking sight that looks like it belongs in a medieval legend. With its massive walls and round towers rising up to 40 meters high, This is one of the most powerful and well-preserved fortifications in Eastern Europe. Its story began over 1,000 years ago as a small wooden outpost, but it grew into the invincible stone giant we see today. The most famous moment in the history of this fortress occurred in the year 1621. A massive army of the Ottoman Empire, numbering nearly 250,000 soldiers, arrived to conquer these lands. They were met by a much smaller force of 40,000 Ukrainian Cossacks and 35,000 Polish troops. Against all odds, the defenders held the fortress for 5 weeks. This victory was so significant that it is credited with stopping the Ottoman advance into Central Europe and changing the course of history. As you approach the entrance, you will see a large statue of the Cossack leader Petro Sahedekny, the hero of that great battle. The fortress itself is a masterpiece of medieval engineering. The walls are up to 6 meters thick, and you will notice unique patterns made of red brick on the exterior. These patterns, known as Babylon and Golgotha, were believed to be Christian symbols of wisdom and protection. Nestled deep within the Carpathian Mountains, this is Bukovel, the largest and most modern ski resort in all of Eastern Europe. Located at an altitude of 920 meters above sea level, it has quickly transformed from a small mountain outpost into a world-class destination for adventure and relaxation. In the winter months, Bukovel is a paradise for snow lovers. The resort boasts over 68 kilometers of perfectly groomed slopes, ranging from gentle blue runs for beginners to challenging black trails for professional athletes. To reach these snowy peaks, there are 19 modern ski lifts that can carry more than 35,000 people every hour. Thanks to a massive network of snow cannons, the skiing season here often lasts from early November all the way until the middle of May. But the resort is much more than just a winter destination. In the summer, the heart of the complex is the Lake of Youth. This is the largest artificial lake in Ukraine, covering almost 7 hectares. It is often called the Carpathian Sea because of its crystal clear water and 2 kilometers of sandy beaches. Here, you can enjoy wakeboarding, diving, or simply relaxing in a heated pool with a view of the mountains. Hidden deep in the Carpathian Mountains, surrounded by ancient spruce trees, is Sinover Lake. It is the largest and most famous mountain lake in Ukraine, located at an elevation of 989 meters above sea level. Often called the Sea Eye, the lake looks like a giant blue eye from above, with a small island in the center that resembles a dark pupil. Scientists believe the lake was formed about 10,000 years ago after a powerful earthquake caused a massive landslide, blocking a mountain stream. Today, the lake is part of a national nature park and covers an area of about 7 hectares. In some places, the crystal clear water reaches a depth of 24 meters. Even in the height of summer, the water remains very cold, rarely warming up past 15 degrees Celsius. While science explains the lake through geology, local legends tell a much more romantic story. It is said that the lake was formed from the tears of a count's daughter named Sin. She fell in love with a poor shepherd named Vir, but her father was so angry that he ordered his servants to kill the young man by dropping a massive stone on him. Sin wept so much at the spot where he died that her tears created the lake. In the year 1984, a 13-meter-tall wooden sculpture of the two lovers was placed on the shore to honor this legend.